All right, folks, can we come to consensus on our minutes? See, Rob, thumbs up. One more, folks. One more of you. Thank you, Eden. Thank you, Crystal. Okay, awesome. All right, guys, we're going to get started. I will begin with my report for our October 6th session. And what we'll be talking about today, we will do a connection before content. I have a few surveys that I'd like for you guys to quickly get your eyes on to make sure that you do have an opportunity to give us some feedback on. One being our parent survey, the SEL survey that's being shared with students, and there's also a school leadership team survey that we had sent in the past that I think would be a good idea, considering the conversation that Gus has had with us around the biennial review. While we haven't received that from the central level, we have administered in the past a district version of that SLT survey that I think could be added to our SLT training so that when our parents, our teachers, and our administrators are all present during the SLT training, one of the things that we can ask them to do is complete this SLT survey so we can check on the health of our school leadership teams across the district and give us a little bit of insight as to what folks are seeing at each of our schools so that we can offer support as a DLT. So we have that survey there as well. And I would love to get some feedback from you guys around the literacy plan. I know that you had a chance to look at it last go around, but if there's anyone that has any feedback on that literacy plan, would love to hear it. We did share it with our principals. Part of this is around, getting some of that feedback, which we mentioned inside of the minutes and Gus talked about last week in terms of our professional learning plan. That is part of that work, which we're doing collaboratively through the lens of the DLT, our building leaders, and our staff. So we will try to get some feedback from you guys on that as well. And that will be my agenda for this morning, followed by Gus. I know he's going to be talking a little bit about bylaws and a variety of other things that are connected to our district leadership team work. But before we move on, I do want to congratulate a few of our folks. Rachel Baltadano has run for and is now currently the new president of President's Council. She was unable to be here today. This was all a recent victory. So thank you to Rachel for your commitment to our schools and for stepping up in this way. And we also have Crystal Gonzalez, who's going to serve as the DPAC president. And I know Crystal is on here. So Crystal, thank you for serving in this way as well. We really do appreciate it, and it is much needed for our district community. So thank you to the two of you for your commitment to our schools. All right, connection before content activity. And as I mentioned to you, we're going to try to do this at each one of our sessions, just to kind of make sure that we're connecting a little bit before we dive into the content. And here is our quick little conversation card starter. If you can snap your fingers and appear somewhere else in the world, where would you be? And what would you do while you're there? And Lewis has got his hand raised. He's already got one. I'm not sure if it will be comic bookish or not. I don't know. Or maybe in the land of.
I was waving goodbye.
Oh, you were waving goodbye. You're out. You're already moving on. Okay. So I'm gonna put you guys into a breakout room just really quick. Again, have a little bit of fun with this, and we're gonna assign. We'll have 3 in a room, and we'll break out just for a couple of minutes, and then come back. It'll be 4 minutes of time in the breakout room. Please make sure that everyone has a chance to share a little bit, and I'm going to open up those rooms now. So please hop in. And some of our team members that are usually not asked to hop in, please do so anyway. All right, guys, welcome back. Did anyone hear anything from a DLT member that you'd like to share out? Any kind of unique places that you heard? I'm actually curious where Lewis was going to land and and head to. But anyone have anything that they want to share from what they heard from one of their DLT partners? We got no one. No one knows where they want to go in a snap of a finger.
Well, I'll share with one of my partners wanted to go into space.
Oh,
Awesome idea. And my other wanted to go to Israel.
very nice. I got to tell you, I don't know how comfortable I would feel heading into outer space. It sounds like a really amazing idea. I just don't know how I
It
would
was
feel getting
me.
on that.
It was me, and it was the International Space Station. So there is some stability. It's not just space flying around, although I feel like I'm doing that often these days.
You know what's so crazy? I actually just saw an article of a like a, I don't know if it was a startup, but an organization that's trying to build, this is straight like sci-fi stuff, trying to build an aircraft carrier that is in space. This massive, massive um, platform just to be floating out in space. Crazy. And you look at Star Wars, you never think any of those things could be real, and now they're talking about developing them. It's amazing. Anyone else? One or two more? You're on mute, Gus.
I was impressed by the fact that Umid has a beach house with a pool. That's very impressive.
Yeah, he's very fancy, and he's going to invite everyone there. Who's in?
Lucky guy.
Yeah, so in my group, we ranged from heading to Asia, to Aruba, and to Nicaragua, all for a variety of different reasons. Eduardo to visit family, Jenny being a native of China, but also to be able to experience all of Asia, and Lamar because he's heard a lot about Aruba, that is positive, and has been to was it Panama, you said, Lamar? So many times to visit family that he wants to change it up and head to Aruba. So, um, you know, being able to snap the fingers is something I'm all for. 10-hour flights, I'm not very into. Mine was Italy. If I can snap my fingers and head back to Italy at any time and not have to worry about getting on a plane for 8 to 10 hours, I'm all in. The flight is what would prevent me from having to do that on a routine basis. But thanks, guys, for going through that. It's always nice to just kind of hear perspectives on where folks are and what interests them, and you learn a little bit more about everyone each time we do this. So thank you for entertaining that. Okay, so I'm going to quickly share my screen, and we're going to go through a couple of things that we're going to go through a little bit of a review phase right now. So really love your feedback on a few things. So as you know, as a district, we are, part of our work is making sure that we build on some of the things with our parent community that we're looking to bolster. One of them around parent engagement, parent empowerment, but also to make sure that our families are getting feedback on the progress of their children, which is all kind of tied into this parent survey that we kind of borrowed some of the questions from the city survey that goes out once a year. But we do intend on sending this within the next couple of days to all of our parents to get some feedback on. So what I would love everyone to do, and let me just open this, and then I will put it in the chat, is to quickly go through the sample that we have here and share any feedback that you might have in regards to the survey, things that we should be thinking about, things that maybe perhaps are not appropriate any longer for to be a survey question, or others that you think our parents should really be able to provide us with feedback on. We did develop this in multiple languages, Chinese, Spanish, and Korean. The one thing that I probably do need to include in here is that if a parent completes it in one language, they don't need to complete it in multiple. Some of our families completed the same survey multiple times. But at any rate, if you can just take the next couple of minutes to review this survey, indicate anything that you feel like we should also be thinking about within it. Again, in context to our district goal that we've established, which is around creating opportunities for our parents to engage in our buildings around our priority areas in reading, SEL, but also to make sure that they're getting progress information on their children. So just I'm going to put the timer on, just 3 minutes. And then we'll do a quick round of feedback. Just take another 30 seconds of reflection. Okay, guys, and we'll come back together. We'll do a quick little whip around from each of our DLT members to share any feedback that they'd like, anything that it's making you think or wonder in regards to this survey. So what do you notice about the alignment of the survey questions to our goal? What do you wonder? And what recommendations can we make for our SLTs? And I think this is an important part of our work here as a district leadership team, is to be able to offer some of those recommendations for our school leadership teams to think about. So if we know this is what our parents are saying, what does it mean? And I think there's no better place than an SLT to kind of talk about, if we're seeing our parents saying really amazing things, how do we celebrate that and make it transparent? And if perhaps they don't, what can we do about that as an SLT? So any comments about the survey? Go ahead, Rob. You can kick us off.
So the questions themselves, I think, are spot on. I think you're asking the right questions to try to get as much information you can about what schools should be offering. I'm wondering about the answers. meaning like for number 2, it says agree, neither agree or disagree, and then disagree. I don't know what neither agree or disagree gets us. So maybe if like the word somewhat, I agree. I feel comfortable. Yes, I agree. I feel comfortable a little bit, or I don't feel comfortable, right? Like in number 3, my school provides me the opportunity to provide feedback on school programs. Maybe again, I guess the agree or disagree is the same as saying like not sure. Meaning that, but the not sure gives you, I guess, feedback on the school maybe could do a better job at.
Yeah, we can adjust the type of Likert scale for sure.
Yeah, just the scale of the answers that I don't think give us the information that maybe that we want for all of these for all these questions, like maybe the parent engagement one. Oh, and the parent engagement one is the question itself. Which one was that? Oh, number 5, I've met with my child's teacher during parent engagement time. That could be a disagree, even though they've had maybe a Zoom call, maybe a phone call. That might just,
so it can change it to met/spoke with,
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, engage with, or through via Zoom or phone call or even email exchange or whatever it is. There's so many different ways to communicate, and that's, I guess, what we're really trying to find out, if that communication is happening. Not necessarily I've come up to the school, because you might get a disagree across the board, but that's not reflective of the.
Yeah, I love that suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Rob. Thank you for that. Eduardo, is there anything else, Rob?
So following up on what Mr. Marino said, so what would be the preferred method of interaction? I would kind of ask, whether is it virtual or in person?
As another question, Eduardo, you mean?
Or as a follow-up question, how do you prefer interaction? Because sometimes parents want to see more in-person events. I have come across that, but others prefer online.
Your preferred mode of communicating with the school?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Eduardo. Eden, anything that you noticed or would think to adjust or add?
No.
I got nothing right now. Sorry.
That's totally fine. No, that's good. Thank you. Crystal.
Good morning. How can I put this? I'm hearing a lot. I see what we have here, but I'm hearing a lot from families where they're looking more so for support at home. What can they do to, like, can we add a question like, do you feel supported with the support that you're giving your child at home? Like, that's a lot of times that's their questions. How can they support their child, what their child is learning in the classroom at home? So can we add a question like that? Do you feel like you have enough support or are getting enough information regarding what you can do to support your children at home?
Yeah, we can definitely work towards something along those lines where, I'd have to think through how we can phrase that, but I understand what you're getting at is that I especially like the last part is like, do I have the information? Do you have the information necessary to help your children at home?
Yeah.
Yes,
Like
thank you.
supports to like tutoring or resources in the community, your local library, that kind of thing. Does your school help you connect with community resources that are available?
Okay. Thank you for that, Crystal.
You're
Lamar.
welcome.
Yeah, I'm looking through them. I haven't found one that like really catches my eye on something like, changing the language or anything or the questioning itself. So I guess I'm good for now.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Lamar. Monique, you notice anything?
I would just say the first question is a little
I'm thinking like general meeting. What general meeting? Like more specific, because usually most parents come out for school events. They do come out for PTA events. They do come out when, if there's a parent coordinator workshop. So as far as general meetings, how does that pertain to the goals? Like, is there something new in the goals? Is there a new type of meeting that the schools are having with the families other than the most obvious ones? That would be like my question. What does general meeting really mean?
Yeah, I love that. And I think we could probably, revise it to kind of call out the things that we're talking about as a district. If you've been invited to do something connected to reading. And at the beginning of the year, the answer might not be yes. And I think that's okay, as long as we're thinking about when are we doing something that our parents can, connect to things that are about reading or social emotional learning or math, or special education, or and so on. And I think that our schools do those things, and I think if we make that more specific, then perhaps the responses will be a little bit more helpful.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And also, like, I don't know if you want it, but maybe just like a comment section, like if there's something specific that wasn't asked of them, like maybe if they wanted to add a suggestion for the school or something like that, maybe like a suggestion box. Um,
So we can change that last one to comments slash suggestions. Make it a little bit more specific at the bottom, so that they know that what comments is really asking for, and that it's not just a box that gets ignored.
right.
Last year we did see a number of folks that do respond. I think one of my other big questions for us as a group too is, last year we got about 1,200 answers, which 1,200 responses from the community, which I think it represents maybe 7 or 8% of our district community. Um, so I do need to bolster that number. Would love to get far more than that. So any recommendations that you guys have on that too, in terms of really building this out across our schools? These surveys are anonymous, so you know, there's really not a way for me to truly capture person by person who's doing it. At least not in this. We could do that, but I don't know that it's necessary for it. But we'd love to get more than just the 1,200 that we had, which is still a good sample. But we'd love to see more than that over the course of time. So I will work on making some of these adjustments that you guys included. So we have the Likert scale, um, you know, question number 5, making adjustments to number 1, and then a couple of additional add-ons that we can include in here as well. Because of the add-ons, it might take us a little bit more time just to make sure that we have a complete translation for those, even though it's small. We will have to work on making sure it's translated in Spanish, Chinese, and Korean. So I will make those adjustments. I'll send them to you guys after that. Then you can give us the feedback to go ahead, and we will start getting some feedback from our community. All right, awesome. Thank you for that, guys. The next component is going to take a little bit longer, but I do want you to give a look at our student SEL survey. Again, what do you notice? Now this is much bigger than just relationship building, which is what our district goal is about. This also includes a number of elements that are important for our buildings to know, what our kids' perceptions are around the core competencies of SEL, the self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, relationship building, responsible decision making, and then a couple of elements that are connected to our mind up work. And we also added in some questions about the district vision statement and how kids can define community, wellness, kindness, and community in District 25. Some of the responses that have come back we did this with a small group already. But any feedback that you guys have to share for adjustment, we can certainly do as well. So I'm going to put that into the chat. If you guys can just take a couple of minutes. To give this a quick little look. And this survey comes directly from one that has been tested for a long time out of the WashU School District. It's one on the is represented on Castle. Castle is a national website for social emotional learning. So I'm going to put this on because there's a lot more questions here. Just 5-minute review. And again, anything that you notice, wonder, or things that you think need to be adjusted. And this survey is for kids in grades 3 through 8. For those that it says you need access, I'll fix that right now. So folks, I will scroll down. We'll do it in a PDF. It's just the way that this is formatted for kids. That's why it's giving you the message for anyone that's outside of the DOE. So outside of using a DOE login. So just give me a minute. Lewis just put it into the chat. But I will continue to scroll so you can see. So just take a moment in of reflection, things that that you notice about the survey, wonder about the survey, alignment that you see, any other things it's making you think in regards to our kids here in the district, any reflection that you see in terms of relationship building inside of some of those survey questions, anything along those lines that you know, that we're really trying to build on and make sure that our kids are connecting to as we go through the year. But anyone have any comments, any noticings, any wonderings about this survey? Anything that you think we should be doing to make it more clear or get us more information from our kids? Any comments? Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
So I like the scale that you use with the happy faces and the sad faces. That's good for all ages. I think that we always find that to be universally useful. When getting into the section with relationship skills, I think back to the survey that you shared with us. I think it was last year that parents were able to you know, give us feedback on what their hopes were for their children for that school year. And the one that always resonates with me, I even get a little choked up from it, was like, I hope she makes a friend.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, like, I look at the one that says, I try to respect my classmates and I get along with my classmates. I wonder if asking a question like, I have one or more friends at school, would give us a perspective to how many children are feeling lonely in school, or how many kids would say, I don't have a friend in school, or something to that effect. Especially when you get up to the middle and high school, in the middle schools, where that those relationships tend to be more important. Where in elementary school, I found, being here for so long now, that these kids just, you know, they're all grouped together and they're very surface. But when they start hitting puberty and getting older, they become a little more deep, and kids do feel like, in some cases, that they are by themselves.
Yeah, so we have the question, and there's an adult in school that I can go to when I'm upset, and maybe perhaps we have you know, a variation of that I have a peer that I can go to. You know, something along those lines. So I don't know if I want to include something along in the space of, do you have, you know, one or more friends? I'm not sure about that. I'd have to think about that a little bit. I know what you're getting at though, Rob.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like, do I have at least one friend? I wouldn't say
Yeah,
that, because that
yeah.
would make the child feel like, if the answer is no, then I'm less than least.
Mhm.
I would want to know if there are children who feel isolated, you know, in
Mhm.
school. You know, and this, I
Yeah,
think the survey is a good way to, however it can extract that. I think it's a good place for it.
cool. Thanks, Rob. Eden.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of that, as thinking about my kids filling it out and knowing what my son kind of went through, I think definitely to try to find out if somebody feels like secluded is good. But I think, like what you were saying, Dr. Mike, about the wording is very careful that we have to be, because you don't know the response that we're going to get from children, and it could make other feelings like come up for them.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of trying to find out, like, do they feel connected to somebody, maybe other than just a staff member? Is there somebody else in school that you feel connected to, maybe, rather than just you feel connected to a teacher or staff member?
Yeah, thanks for that, Eden. I have to think through how we phrase that, but I think we can probably organize for that. Yeah. Crystal.
Just thinking about what they just said and looking at 4 and 14. I can calm myself down when I get upset or angry. And 14 is, I have the coping skills to handle stress and worries about school. Included in school is not feeling welcome or not having a friend, right? Or along those lines, maybe we can have a follow-up question for them, like, how? What do you do to cope with your stresses? Just thinking about a follow-up question to get more feedback from the kids for 4 and 14. How do you calm yourself down? And for 14, what coping skills do you use? to handle whatever stresses you're going through, something along those lines.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. And Monique.
So I was going to piggyback off what Mr. Marino was saying. We know lunchtime is probably the time of day where kids most likely feel alone. So maybe gearing that question to, do you have someone that you sit with at lunch or something simple along the lines? You can reword it, but I think like that's the most important time of the day, especially for middle school, because that's when people are sitting next to people that they like. And that's when they're out of the classroom setting, out of assigned seating, and you're choosing who you want to sit with. So maybe it's more or less like, do you have someone that you sit with at lunch? Or do you have, and it's a simple yes or no. So I think like when these surveys come back, because they're children, the simpler it is, the easier it is for us to address. So if you have many children that are saying no, then you can then look at your cafeteria and how it's set up and how students are playing and then how they're interacting, and also out at recess, how are children, kind of playing with each other. So I feel like, engaging and having activities together and talking and things like that. But I think the lunch question is probably, for me, would be a way to gauge in that communication. And then I also think, I know you said grades 3 to 8, but my concern is the wording, especially for the lower grades. I think maybe the upper grades might understand what coping and tools and skills and things like that. So it might be a little bit more difficult, I think, for grades 3 to 5, unless they know what coping means, what the definition is. And
Yeah,
so
so the
that's,
survey comes with a series of vocabulary terms for teachers to be able to share with kids.
oh, okay.
So that they have, so that they have a little bit of insight as to what vocabulary a child might have a struggle with. What we do share with our schools is that this is by no means intended to be a reading test for them. So if we need to share exactly what something means, that we can do that to avoid any kind of misinterpretation of what the survey is actually asking them.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But as you guys are talking, I'm thinking maybe we even just kind of, is there someone that you can socialize with, as a learner, something along those lines, and it could be during lunch or recess. I have someone that I can socialize or talk to / play with during recess or lunch, maybe something along those lines. I can work through that to see if there's something we can add that connects to that as well. I'm not sure if you guys put your hands back up or not. Crystal and then Eden. I'm not sure if that was from the BAS one or
No, I
you
re-put mine
have
up.
more to add.
I have I was thinking about something like when he mentioned lunchrooms in our school cafeteria, it has a sign that says, if you like positive affirmations, if you think someone needs a friend, be one. So maybe we can ask the question to kids, like, if you think someone needs a friend, are you being one? Or something like that, like, just to get their feedback off of how they feel when they see someone alone. Are they being that friend, or something to that effect?
Mhm. Thank you for that, Crystal. Eden.
The other thing is, I was wondering, is this something we're gonna do like soon and then maybe reevaluate in the spring to see if anything changed for these students?
Yeah, so the goal is that we do this 3 times.
Okay,
And
perfect.
align it with the assessment windows that we have. So that we can do a little spot check on kids and where they feel like they are throughout the year, and whether or not any other interventions. So the goal of this survey is that our schools bring it to their case teams, and case teams are able to unpack, where are we? Do we need to have more lessons in self-management? Do we need to have more lessons on this, that, or the other thing? And then also being able to target, individual children that might be showing that they need some help. So yes, the goal is that this is implemented more than once. Go ahead, Lamar.
I think you just answered my question, but I want to ask again for clarity. Would this be given out to students, like directly, as opposed to anonymously? Like, would a child's name be on it where they're answering the surveys?
Yeah, so we are able to gather individual student information. We don't ask them to put their names in, but the tool pulls from their NICSA information, so we're able to kind of get an idea of who might need additional attention.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there will
it
be a,
captures their email address, and then we can map that back to
Yeah,
actual kids'
back to
names.
individual kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Sure. All right, so it sounds like, in general, the survey in and of itself is, a positive tool, and just noting a couple of additional things here for us to consider, certainly as we're moving forward and making adjustments to, to the survey for our kids. And, what we have seen is that it does give us some information that I think is really important for us to think about as individual schools and as a district. And when we think about this idea of recommendations that we make for an SLT, what are some of the things that we would want to recommend for our schools to do with the information that comes from this? Obviously looking at it, but is there anything specific that we can say, aside from our case teams that our schools have, what would we want to recommend for our SLTs when thinking about this data? Just take a moment of pause. What would we want to make as a recommendation for our schools? Because we do have the SLT training that's coming up, which is going to be our next thing that we are going to look at. What would we want to even include, thinking about our goals, thinking about this survey? What would we want to have our school SLTs think about when it comes to this stuff, whether it's parent survey, student survey, or our academic data? But what would we want to have as a recommendation? Anything that comes to mind? Just take a moment of pause. And if you have any thoughts or recommendations, please feel free. All right, we can come back to that. What we had done in the past, and we worked collaboratively on, we just organized a small little guidance document. We had done it with parent translations and such in years past. We might want to even come up with just a small little guide for discussing this at a school leadership team meeting. Here are the things that you should be thinking about, perhaps through the parent lens, through the teacher lens, through the building leader lens. I just think it's a nice thing for our schools to keep that information gathered, because every school will have access to their own individual information from this. It won't just come to the district. It'll go right to our schools as well, for our SLTs to be able to kind of look at and ask more questions about. SLTs won't be able to look at individual kids, but you'll be able to see the bigger information as a school. Maybe perhaps we can work on organizing a guidance document for SLTs to be able to use to support next steps. Yeah, go ahead, Crystal.
I was just thinking, like, maybe what, like, for the SLTs, getting it out there that the surveys are being done, right? And the purpose of them is for the voices to be heard, and for changes to be made, and then let families know what changes are being made, how they're being made, like transparency,
Mhm.
like getting that across.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that can be part of, well, two ways. One of the things that I always will do at our CEC meetings, at our President's Council meetings, our DPAC meetings, all this information will always be shared by me, for sure. And then certainly next steps, but I think it has to go beyond that. So those are things that I can also do with Gamma and things of that nature, or even just messages to our SLT parents to then share widely to other folks. Those are things that we can certainly do as an SLT in and of ourselves. So I love that suggestion, Crystal. And Monique, go ahead.
So I don't know, but I was thinking, I know because SLTs can create subcommittees. So maybe feedback from these two individual surveys can create two subcommittees, one addressing the parent survey, one addressing the student survey, and then coming up with, and the subcommittees working on ways that they can address any concerns that come up as a school community within both like kind of saying, okay, we're going in the right direction with this, but maybe we need to create something more with, what's identified as possibly could be, a concern, right? And then the same thing with the students, like where are they at? And then, just for example, like I brought up the cafeteria, whatever question that you decide to ask about, students having a peer, someone they could speak to, if that comes back as something that is a concern, then then possibly that could be something that subcommittee works together to address as a school community.
Yeah, and I
That's
think Monique too, what we can probably do and what we did last year with the language guidance document that we shared with SLTs is that we can also form our own little subcommittee, those that want to serve on the parent side, those that want to serve on the student side, and then we can organize those guidance documents ourselves and serve as that model for what our SLTs can do. So I think that's a great recommendation and one that we could organize ourselves. What do we want to say based on the data that we can, here's a recommendation from our DLT to our SLTs, to think about. They can become agenda items and so on. So I think it's a nice entry point and one that shouldn't be a crazy lift for our schools, more so here's a great conversation starter. What do you guys think about in regards to, our parent engagement work? What do we think about in terms of our student engagement work? I think it creates a great opportunity for conversation. So I think that's a great recommendation. Okay, awesome. All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
Now, this is a lead-in to discussion around some of our next steps. Now, this one we're not going to just review just yet, but I would like to have it. Here's one more survey we're going to review in a moment. This is the SLT survey. But what I would like us to think about is in regards to our SLT training, which is scheduled tentatively for Monday, November 3rd. I have received some feedback around this, and I know we were talking about in person, and believe me when I say I prefer things to be in person when we can. But I also know that we have, families that getting to a building might be difficult. Staff getting to a in-person training might be difficult. So if we are okay, we can consider it the same way that we had done last year, where we're meeting via Zoom. We had done it twice. I'm going to open up what the agenda looks like here. I'm going to put it into the chat so you guys can have it and open it. What we did last year, we had two sessions. We did one at 4 o'clock, one at 7, both via Zoom. I had done an intro. It was followed by Gus and Eden did SLT 101. Then Umit did a progress monitoring session. We had Rachel and Rob did a piece on MTSS. And then lastly, we had Yelena, who I'm not sure she's going to be available, so I have to work on who would be able to come and do the budget piece. But so we'll work on who's going to do this last part, even if I have to do it myself, I can. But each of these elements was what was covered during our last session. So a couple of things. One, can we come to consensus on doing these virtually? Would you guys be good with doing these, both of these SLT trainings in a virtual way? Give me kind of a thumbs up, or if you're really passionate and say, you know what, I would much rather do it in person. But it looks like, well, I got an exploding thumb on that one. I'm not sure who that was from, but it sounds like we're good with virtual. All right. So virtual, and again, we'll do it 2 times. Does that make sense for people that are different schedules? So Crystal giving me a thumbs up, Eden thumbs up. Rob, you good with that too? Rob is good. All right, Lamar, you good with that? Lamar's a thumbs up. Okay. So we have virtual. We'll do 1 session at 4, 1 session at 7. Okay. Now, can we just take a look at, and Gus could use your hand in this space too. Anything else that things that we have done? Are there things that we should be doing that's not necessarily present on this agenda?
Dr. Mike, I have one.
Yeah, go ahead, Eden.
What about the wellness collaboration and adding something in about that? And how we want SLTs to cover that at their meetings.
Wellness, kindness, community.
I would gladly take lead on that one if we need.
Okay. Yeah, love it. Thank you, Eden. Anything else that we see that's in need?
Mike, it's a little small for me to see, but I just want to make sure that the PAC stuff and the SLT monthly information is in there.
So we never had a specific thing just for PAC. I know we have our roles and responsibilities of SLTs. I don't know if it was in this initial, if you mentioned it during your presentation around the governance component. Gus, do you remember?
Yeah, I usually mention it. I fit it in somewhere, but you might want to have a slide that highlights it, because it's something that we keep reminding people on an ongoing basis that needs to be done.
Yeah, let's see. I don't see it in there. That's something that we would be able to add. Is there a deck that you have, Gus, that includes that in there? Because
I think I sent you the new decks. Did I send you the new decks from Central
but
over the
that's for
weekend?
the SLT training.
Yes.
Okay, was that in the one from this month?
Yes, I sent it to I sent them out either Friday or over the weekend.
Yeah, so
So
that's no problem. That can always be adjusted in here, making sure that it's in there. That's fine. Okay. Anything else other than that? Rob, anything that you think we should be including for principals across the district? Or Lamar, anything for teachers that we should be including that would be helpful for them? But other than the wellness, kindness, community, the general idea of SLT 101, progress monitoring, MTSS, Rob, we would probably need to make some changes here in the doc, and provided you're still okay with doing this portion, just to kind of align it more with the 3 areas that the 3 interventions that we chose as a district. Rachel had done it with you in the past. Crystal, any interest in kind of co-presenting any of these?
Sure. It
Okay.
doesn't matter where you put wherever I can help it. It's fine.
Okay. All right. All right. So we're going to keep the time virtual. I will still do my intro, and Eden, perhaps you can join that, and I'll add it into my intro, the wellness, kindness, community.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And I'll take over that since I know we've been collaborating closely on that. So if somebody else wants to do the SLT part for
Yeah,
me.
so you and I could do that during the intro slides. We'll include that in there. Crystal, if you're willing, perhaps you can join Gus and you can do the SLT 101 just to be there as a co-presenter. We can go over that information with Gus. And that way we'll be all set and ready to go with moving forward. I just have to touch base with Rachel to make sure she's good with continuing that MTSS alignment work. The slides are there. They just will need to be updated. And if you guys are okay with it, maybe perhaps we can come together again in a couple of weeks just to review it so that when we get to the November 3rd, or maybe we can do it on the 3rd during our regularly scheduled meeting, where we come together, review the slides, and then we'll all be ready to go for that evening. Or do we want to review them way ahead of time? Because then we can make another meeting. I would just assume that a lot of these things are already done. We can do them on the 3rd that morning when we have our regularly scheduled DLT, so that we're ready for the 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock event.
I think the day of the SLT meeting is fine.
It should be good enough, right? If we devote the amount of
think
time
so.
that we have to it. I mean, the slides are pretty much already done. I think we should be able to be good to go. One
Mike,
or two things that, yeah, go ahead, Gus.
on the MTSS section, remember the change from last year to this year is that there's more detail in the CP. It's beyond just the grid. Now there are action plans, and there's also a focus that Central has come up with these selections that districts have. So it might be a good idea to highlight or incorporate, that those changes from last year to this year, so people are aware of them.
Yeah, so what I had just mentioned to Rob, there are a few things that we would have to make adjustments to in the MTSS slide deck. And some of them are based on what we actually put in our literacy plan. It kind of lays out all of that work. It's really just moving it from the literacy plan into the new slide deck, which would take place, which we would incorporate into this year's work. So a lot of that's already detailed in our literacy plan, indicating, who goes into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, what are the programs that we're using, and what it means in terms of the win period that we've established. So all of that is pretty detailed in our literacy plan. It just needs to be lifted and put into what will be the new MTSS document. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then we will reconvene ourselves on November 3rd. What we will do in the short term, we will get message out to all of our SLTs. Lewis will help me organize a flyer to send out to all of our schools, inviting them to the November 3rd training session, which will be one at 4 o'clock, one at 7 o'clock, so that all of our folks get good and trained. Yes? Okay. And the only other add-on that we're going to include, it will be Eden towards the welcome that I am going to be doing around wellness, kindness, and community. And I have to see if there's someone that will sit in place of Yelena. As she mentioned to me, she will not be in that week. But I'm hoping that's not too much of a problem. All right, guys, awesome. And I am
Dr. Mike,
almost
she
done,
did
I
have
promise.
somebody that was covering for her that I know we dealt with while she was out previously.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I shouldn't have too much of a problem getting someone for that, but I'll keep you guys posted on who that will be. Okay. And the last part of my session for myself this morning is around the school leadership team survey. So let me just quickly share my screen again. This will be the last bit of feedback. I'm sorry, I've asked you guys for a lot of feedback today, but I think it's important that you have your eyes on this. And here is the last form. And I did find this very helpful in the past, that I would love to include before our SLT members leave from our session, that we ask them to complete this this form. It gives us a lot of information around the things that school leadership teams should be or should have in place in order to support decision making. So if you can just take the next, again, 5 minutes or so, just to do a quick little once over of this survey form. A lot of these questions come directly from the biennial review, which Gus, I don't know, you can tell me more if they're planning on sending this in a different way other than what I'm planning to do.
They're planning, but you know, you have been proactive in the past and done your own, which is a good thing.
Okay, so if everyone can give this a look-see, and we'll come back together in 5 minutes. Anything that, again, that you're noticing, any things that you're wondering about, and this is from a standard kind of set of questions that SLTs have been asked for a number of times. They used to do this every couple of years, but that has since changed. We've been doing it on our own. I haven't seen it come from the central team in a while, but just give it a quick review. Any things that you have on your mind based on reviewing it. All right, guys, any thoughts?
It's long.
It is pretty long. It is pretty long.
Seems-
This is almost a mirror, Rob, of
Yeah.
what the biennial review is. So it is long. I definitely hear that. Do you think anything can be consolidated so that, you know, it's not overwhelming? But I feel like all of the things there are important.
You're asking all the questions you need answered, so.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Crystal.
The first question, please indicate your school's affiliation below. I'm on SLT at elementary school and middle school. So do I fill out two separate surveys?
Hmm. Um,
Could that maybe make a select all that apply?
well, I mean, the only thing is that your experience, I mean, and this kind of stinks that you're such an active parent. Your experience at one might not be the same as your experience in another.
Gotcha.
So I would hate to say this, but it would almost be, it would be best if you can kind of put on, here's my elementary school hat and what I see going on, and here's my middle school hat and here's what's going on. Or here's school A versus school B, if it's not an elementary and middle. It would benefit just to get a little bit of clarity around, one location versus the other.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
But yes, that would give you a bunch more work to do, Crystal. Sorry to say that.
It's okay.
I mean, the questions there are pretty straightforward. It's all really around what SLTs are intended to do, their job and their function. And what I would hope from this survey was that it will be an opportunity for all of us to look at and say, if this is an area that schools need help in, that we can offer. These are times and spaces where you can come in and get some extra TLC if you need it as a parent or as a building leader or as a teacher, and here's when we can offer that. Or just make resources available for schools that might say that they need it. It's a good way for us to connect with our buildings. And even though this is an anonymous survey, we can still offer the resources, to folks that might need it. Anything there, Gus?
Nope.
Okay. All right, guys. So I think we are in pretty good space, in a pretty good space. Our goals are still here as we've written them before. The only last space of feedback is if you've had an opportunity to review the literacy plan, and I will put it into the chat again in the event that you haven't had a chance to look at it. But any feedback, we did receive feedback from principals, from our principal team. They felt like it was a really good guide for them. And let me just quickly share my screen. I'll scroll through a couple of things also so you can see where we have those relationships to the work that Gus was just referring to. So this kind of outlines the overarching vision of our work as a district, the pillars for how we're seeing and looking to grow through improvement. But I'm going to go right to the one component that Gus was just mentioning, which is around the tiered supports. And these are the things, Rob, that we can add into that presentation in some way, shape, or form, just kind of the tiered approach that we're taking, the different programs that we're going to be using, to make sure that our families know what the deal is and what we're trying to get accomplished as schools. And I will say that this is, much bigger than past practice at times. So we're looking at kids in the bottom 40th percentile, which is, a lot of kids after that first administration. So our schools do need to do a lot of drilling down and figuring out who really does need the support versus who doesn't. Some of our kids, iReady is just an assessment. It doesn't mean it tells you everything. So we have some kids that tested in the bottom 40th percentile in iReady and last year tested as a level 4. So those things don't necessarily match. So our schools do need to do a little bit of digging to make sure that the kids are getting the appropriate intervention. But this does kind of indicate how we're going about doing that, as a district. So did anyone review or give a look at our current planning for our literacy plan? Any feedback that anyone has? Any thoughts on this? If you need a little bit more time, you can certainly, we can certainly connect with this during our next meeting, but any feedback you have is always most welcome.
Mike, the other piece that you know is related to the MTSS that I know that you're working on is your district professional development plan. It might be a good idea to just mention what you're doing as a component for SLT, so they're aware that there's this district-wide initiative taking place.
Yeah, so all of that is right in this plan, Gus.
Okay.
This whole literacy plan is part and parcel what it is that we're doing as a district, including professional learning dates. What is it that we're actually working to on and towards? So that's all embedded right in this document. And is also included in the DCEP. So all of these things are present in there. All right, guys, we will revisit this. This is a document that's ever changing, can always be adjusted as the year goes on. But wanted to make sure you had your eyes on it so that you can provide feedback. So when we come to our next meeting, if you could give this a look, I will also be sharing with you our SEL guide as well as our math guide as in addition to this, so that everyone has access to what we're working on and towards, and open for feedback around anything that you think we should still be considering. And that concludes my report for today. I'm going to turn it over to Gus.
Thank you. One of the things that I do, folks, during these meetings is I monitor my emails as the meeting is taking place. And about 5 or 10 minutes ago, I see that the district has received feedback on the DCP. It was expected last week. Then I was told we were going to get it on Friday, but it came through this morning. So it's up to the district how you want to handle the feedback and share it with the DLT. But what Central did was they developed a PowerPoint, which is part of the handouts that I sent. As it's just a guide and some ideas about the kinds of things that you should be looking at in terms of the feedback. There's nothing that dramatic in there. Most of it is pretty straightforward, but being that Central went to the trouble to create it, I feel that I should just touch upon it during the meeting, and you could look at it in more detail and decide how it relates to your review and revision procedures. The deadline, as I still have it for the DCP, is at the end of December, specifically December, I think 26th. So it's basically the end of December that the DCP is supposed to be finalized. So if I can share my screen, let me just go over this this piece. Hopefully this is the right one. And can everybody see that? Have I got the right screen?
Yes, updating the CP.
Updating the
This is-
DCP.
Yep, that's the one. Okay. So, as usual, they have lots of graphs and visuals, and one of the pieces is that they've broken down for you with these bullets about there's alignment, which the district strategic plan, which is over on the left side on the bottom, but the other piece, review and update actions. What the expectation is that you revisit your needs assessment based on the latest information and the data that you have to make sure that it has the most current information. Then align the district plan with district priorities, something which I'm sure you've already done. And then review the feedback again, as I mentioned, in whatever way the district feels is appropriate, and incorporate that feedback. And I haven't seen it, like I said, we just got it about 10 minutes ago. So I don't know whether you want to just table it and share it at the next meeting, send it out before the next meeting. However you want to handle it is fine, whatever works for you. And then incorporate whatever input from the stakeholders, meaning the DLT members, and then use all of this information to clarify and strengthen the action plan. So that's what Central is telling us. And the next section is something that, let's see, I need to discuss with the district. Now, you are a improvement district because of one school that you don't kind of have total control of. It's in your geographic area, and Mike and I have talked about this in the past. Mike, do you remember the number of the school? It escapes me at the moment. It's
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 QSI.
yeah, and it's the middle school and high school component that's identified. Is that correct? Do I remember it correctly?
It's QSI, Gus. You broke up and out and broke in and out there for a second. It's QSI.
Oh,
It's Q252.
252. And uh, there is a section in the DCEP for the improvement districts that I believe is in your DCEP because of that geographic area component. And whatever is in there is supposed to address what special is being done for that particular school. And in our case, because it's a bit unusual. I mean, in the other district in Queens North, there are two schools at TSI, and they just belong to the district. In your case, it's a school that is under a different superintendency, but is in your geographic district. So it would take some collaboration, and I'm not sure whether it's something that will appear only in their DCP or in ours or both. Um, so we have to take a closer look at that. I'll take a closer look at that and get back to Mike about this to make sure that it's clear what is required in that piece. Have you been given any insight as in your superintendent's meetings as to how that's handled, Mike, in your case?
No, not as of yet, Gus.
Okay, so it's something that we'll clarify and see. It might not even be necessary if it's handled in the other districts, DCP, and not in ours, or just be reflected in ours. I don't know. That's something that it occurred to me when I saw this graph, and it's something that we need clarification on, and I'll get it for you. And there are guidelines here, and there's a handout specific to this that I may or may not have included in your handouts. I'll have to check back and see. It's a separate one pager for target districts on the kinds of things that should be incorporated into that section. And it reflects what's here in the PowerPoint. Family engagement, again, this is not anything new. It's your district family engagement policy. It's something that you're on top of. You have a very robust parent engagement process in District 25, and you are always on top of getting input. You're doing your own surveys. You're interacting on all levels, and I'm optimistic that your engagement policy will be as up to date and as robust as possible. There are some guidelines here and a timeline in relation to family engagement and family engagement policy. But again, this is something that you routinely do, and that I know that you're on top of. 100.11, the biennial review. again, you're not even waiting for Central. In the last meeting that I attended with Central, they indicated that the survey will come out this year and it will be done. So we'll wait to see whether that actually happens. But in the meantime, as you've seen in the earlier component of this meeting, you're moving ahead and you're gathering your own information to revise, add to the SLT support policy, which is what 100.11 is. That's already in the plan. And based on your own survey, and hopefully Central will send out the additional information. And by the end of December, we will have enough information to revise and add to the policy. So that's basically the PowerPoint. It's not a long PowerPoint. And stop sharing. The other handouts that I've given to you are not anything new. You've seen them all before. If there are any questions, you can come back and we can discuss them, or just email the superintendent's office and they will relay the question to me. CEP deadline is early December. Right now, according to the timeline, it's December 5th. Once again, you're either the first or one of the first districts to complete everything on time. So I'm optimistic that your CEPs are in good shape, being revised, and things are moving along. I sent out last week a survey that I get from Central on PACS and the information for parental engagement that goes into the iPlan portal, into those. And Jenny is working on that and is on top of it and reaching out to schools that are behind. I get those almost every week. I will be getting a SLT survey as well. I will send that out. That's the general monthly information that's supposed to go into the SLT. Just as a reminder, the annual meeting for Title I schools is at the end of October, as it always is. And information needs to be put into iPlan into that as well. And I'm sure you will take care of that. And I will get a report on any missing items that we need to put in. The bylaws. I think we send out the bylaws after last meeting, Mike? I don't remember. It should be in the minutes. I think it was on last agenda.
It was on the agenda. It's in the slides. I can put it in here again. It's in the chat. Just put it in the chat so that we can give it an approval for this year.
Right. It should be in the
But it's
minutes
there.
that it's been reviewed and approved or added to, I guess next meeting. That is something that we go through every year. And that way, it's in the agenda, and I have to put the latest version into iPlan. So when it's finalized, you send it to me. I put it into the correct tile in iPlan, and we should have at the top somewhere or wherever it's appropriate that it was reviewed again and finalized on such and such a date. So when it goes into the DCEP, it's clear that it was looked at and added to or just approved this academic year as well.
Yeah.
The last bullet is SLT training. We already talked about that. And we have the 2 sessions. And unfortunately, I have a conflict with another district. I emailed the superintendent and suggested that they change their date. They chose the same date at 7 o'clock. So I can't be at both places at the same time. So if they're not able to change, I'll ask Matt Zrillik or one of my colleagues to cover the other one. I think that's all the bullets that we have. Um, any questions or comments on anything that I said?
No, I put it in the bylaws in the chat. It looks like two of our folks were just exited, so we can't necessarily come to consensus on those bylaws at the moment. We'll have to do that and table it towards our next meeting. But please make sure that you've reviewed them. So it should be a quick little entry point for us going into next month.
One
Just for a quick
thing that I
approval.
forgot. I owe you all the DocuSign for the consolidated plan. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten it out. And if I don't get 100 interruptions by the end of the day today, it's on my list of things to do to get it out to you. So look for the email from me on DocuSign.
Thanks, Gus. And in terms of the feedback that we received, we can go over that during the next meeting. Some of the things that they have in there, I've already made adjustments to the past couple of days, last week, as I made some revisions to the DCEP. So I will make all of those revisions that were requested. Some of them was just changing language from L to MLL. Some of them a little bit more specific around adjustments to root cause analysis versus patterns and trends. So I will make those adjustments and will be available in the DCEP for all of you guys to review. But the smallest one, if we could, just reviewing the bylaws, and then we'll be on our way to come to consensus on those for this school year. Quick follow-up reports from CSA. Anything, Rob, that's going on?
CSA has their annual conference on November 1st. Looking forward to that. We've also been in conversation with the city on trying to get the para nominations to open up as soon as possible, and also for them to continue to look into ways to attract more school safety agents. We definitely do not have enough, especially in the lower grades in the elementary schools. School safety agents, I believe the starting salary is $40,000, which is not a living wage in New York City. So I don't know how they are, without me saying too much, I think they could do a better job at attracting some talent to that field that we desperately need. That's all.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Eduardo, high school superintendent's report.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Screen to share. Hi, good morning, everyone. Greetings from Superintendent Dr. Tu. So I have a couple of updates in keeping with our district goals. We have a college tour coming up. 3 of our schools will be participating, Atlas, Van Buren, and William Bryan High School. That will be tomorrow. They'll be taking a tour of NYU. And we also have a college fair coming up this week as well on Thursday, October 9. All of this information, the flyers and the details are on is available on our website. We're also very proud to announce in District 25, John Bowen High School, we have we have 2 they were the recipients of the VESA Scholar Program. The VESA Scholar Program selects 12 student educator pairs from across the United States each year. The scholars are chosen for their academic accomplishment, leadership potential, and passion for creating positive change in their community. These scholars then engage in a year-long leadership development experience and launch community change projects that address pressing local issues. And so this was awarded to a student and an educator in our District 25, John Bowen High School. So I want to congratulate Salia Woku and AP Felicia Bifulco. So all of this information is available on our new website. I will be also uploading information on our upcoming open houses across the district. So once this is updated, I will be sharing this with Jenny, so that she can distribute it to all the parent coordinators, and any families interested in participating in our open houses are invited. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Eduardo. Eden, anything from CEC?
We have a meeting this Wednesday. Senator Liu will be coming to give some updates from Albany. We're going to be talking with FoodStream about a DOE vendor. We're also going to have a presentation on the Amplified Desmos curriculum by Beth. And I think there's some resolutions that might be coming up due to some stuff that happened at the PEP meeting recently. So if anyone's around, able to join, whether it's virtually or in person, please feel free.
Okay, thanks so much, Eden. And Crystal, I know that you were just recently elected. I don't know if there's anything that you have to report from DPAC, but if there's anything you'd like to say on behalf of DPAC too.
No updates right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Crystal. And the last thing that I do want to say before we close in terms of new business, Arlene Fleischman from Community Board 7 did share an opportunity with me that I just want to let everyone know that I'm going to follow up on. It looks like Queens College is looking to develop a debate tournament that is a national debate tournament, which would include opportunities for our middle schoolers and high schoolers to participate in. And again, this would be something to build on the idea of debate that we've already started here in the district with our relationship with the American Debate League. So I just wanted to kind of throw it out there at you guys that this is something I'm going to be following up on. I think it is a great opportunity for our district. One, to create this community collaboration between Queens College, our community board, and District 25, to really continue to build our kids' capacity in the area of speech, but also their ability to debate. Our kids have done great work. Years past, they've gone to Harvard with the American Debate League, and we had a second place participant just from our district, one of our district schools alone that went to Harvard. So creating more opportunities like this is something that I think is worth looking into. So I will be reaching out to the director from Queens College to find out more info, and I'll share more with you hopefully in November around what this might mean for our district community, because I do think it is worthwhile. I also do want to share that Craig Lasris from Common Point has given me the thumbs up on any time that we want to follow up and do another one of our SEL events at the Common Point Queens location next to Bell and 169. I would like to follow up on what we did last year. I thought it was really quite an event that we organized collaboratively with the CEC. Would love for the DLT to also be involved in that. So I'm just throwing it out on the table. If last year we did it in, I want to say it was March. I do think that we can do it again in and around that time, maybe even a little bit earlier if we so choose. I think we chose March because it's starting to at least get a little bit warmer and not so cold during the winter. But they have offered their space again, and I do think that we should take advantage of using that opportunity to spread this idea of wellness, kindness, and community across the district. So, more to follow on that, but I wanted to kind of bring it to everyone's ears. And this past week, we did host our first set of soccer games to kick off the soccer season here in District 25. So big thanks to Diana for getting that work started across our schools. And the last thing I do want to say is that we are likely to receive, and I want everyone to kind of put on their thinking caps for this in terms of ways that we can use it. I'm anticipating receiving a good amount of money for the arts, from the space of the district being able to offer arts opportunities across our schools. Now, last year, if you remember, we were able to, I received the money very late and had a short period of time to spend it, which we did, and spent it pretty well. I don't like sending any money back, as you guys know. But we will likely receive that opportunity again. So ways that we can use the arts dollars is in the form of getting specific assembly periods for our schools, offering a residency for some of our schools, and maybe even doing some community-based events. So what I would love for everyone to really think about is what would be good from the district level, what would be good maybe at the school level for some of our buildings that really have very little dollars, and they cannot afford some of the arts programming that I know that they would like to have. So think on that. Organizations we've used in the past, Arts Connection, Studio in a School. We also did Broadway shows. We did trips to Broadway shows, which was really, really well received by our community. So I ask that you guys think on that, because once that money comes, I don't want to wait. I want to be able to spend it and get it into our schools to use as a means of bolstering their programs in their buildings. So think on that. Anything that you believe would be purposeful for our schools. And Eduardo, this includes, you know, creating opportunity for this cross elementary, middle to high school space where we can do something maybe unique to bring our entire District 25 community together would be worth looking into. So if you can bring that back to Dr. Tu, that would be great, including this idea of the debate league work. But does anyone else have any other new business that we need to bring up? All right, guys, can we come to consensus on closing the meeting? I'm going to give you back 9 minutes. This is unbelievable. I don't think we've ever really given back 9 minutes on a DLT meeting. Usually I take 9 instead of give 9. Thank you, Crystal, for the thumbs up. Eduardo's good. Rob's good. Eden, you good?
I'm good, sorry.
Okay, perfect. And so if everyone could just make sure you take a look at the presentations, let's start making some of the appropriate adjustments that we have to have. Rob, you and I can talk about the MTSS one if you want. I don't see anything major, but just making sure we have the things that all of our schools are really doing in it. We should be good. All right, guys, have a great afternoon.
You too. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks.